Okay, welcome everyone. Everyone is joining in. Lovely to see you all. I know we've got lots of people joining. Amazing, amazing. Hey, we love you to be on video if you can. If you can turn your video on, that would be amazing. If you're eating lunch or dinner or something like that, that's totally fine. But yeah, if you want to turn your video on, that would be amazing. You will see you're on mute. We're going to be getting underway with the webinar really soon. Honestly, I'm super excited. It's just so great to have both Molly and Haley here. We've got some really fun plans for this webinar. So just as people are gathering, can people just pop into the chat where they are in the world and what they do creatively? Right, so just as we have a few more people gathering as well, popping into the chat, where you are in the world and what you do creatively. So popping that into the chat. Amazing. And yeah, feel free to have your video on if you like. Always great to be able to connect and see you, but obviously up to you as well. Now, I will say I'm actually in Switzerland right now. People are like, oh, you're in Switzerland. That's a surprise. A lot of our clients we work with are in the US, also other parts of the world as well. But I happen to be in the Swiss Alps for a month, which is beautiful. I've been doing lots of amazing hiking and keeping up my daily steps. I'm I have very sore legs from just lots of walking and hiking all the time. So there we go. Haley, whereabouts are you at the moment?
I'm in Madrid, so similar time zone to you. So it's our evening, right?
Absolutely. It's actually just after 7 p.m. for us. How about you, Molly? Whereabouts are you?
Wow, that's amazing. I am in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, so not as exciting as your locations, unfortunately.
I
I love
used to
that.
be Molly's neighbor though. I lived in Madison, Wisconsin for the last 3 years before I moved to Spain.
Amazing. I love that. And for those joining us, if you did want to add something into the chat, where you are in the world and what you do creatively as well, it's always lovely to see. And we've got some of the flammable entrepreneur team are here as well. So great to have you all on board too. All right, I think we should get into it. I think we should dive into it. We've got some great plans. So I'm going to hand over to Molly to introduce herself first, and then we'll go to Haley from there, and then to me. So over to you, Molly.
Sounds good. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that you could be here today. I'm Molly, and my business is Molly Marie P. I focus on illustrating greeting cards and surface pattern designs and fun lettering. I started working with Logan about 3 months ago because I was feeling super overwhelmed. I really felt like I had no idea what to focus on. I had way too many ideas and I wanted to do everything. And I didn't know if I was doing any of the things I was doing correctly. So Logan really helped me change my mindset and define, what was really important to me, which helped to create like a really solid foundation for my business and give me a lot of direction of where I wanted to go. And just as a reminder, you also have a chance to kickstart your journey because Logan is going to be giving away 3 free coaching calls if you fill out the survey at the end of this webinar, and you'll be entered to win. So make sure you do that.
Amazing.
And then
Haley.
All
Yeah.
right. Hi, I'm Haley Schulz, and I go by Helium as my artist name. And I'm an editorial and commercial illustrator. And I was really proud of where I had gotten my illustration career, just starting it during the pandemic in 2021. But after I took a little bit of time off for my wedding and I let my client work dry up, I realized I needed some support. I needed to shift my thinking and my goals. And that's how I decided to reach out to Logan, because I had seen a lot of illustrators I admire who had worked with him and had success. And so I started the Lifetime Creative Program in January. And through that program, I completely shifted my mindset around my business. I started taking more action consistently. I started holding myself accountable and ultimately just regained all that confidence I had lost. And so I just want you all to know that Logan's program is such an incredible resource for creatives, whether you're just getting started with your business or whether you've been working at it and want to really take it up to the next level. He has a deep well of knowledge about business, not just because he studied entrepreneurship, but he also ran his own business, for his own creative business, for 11 years. So And then my personal opinion is that on top of all that expertise, he operates with this special kind of tough love approach that gets you biased towards action and also gets you to trust yourself as a business owner. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Logan.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Haley. And that is awesome, Molly. So honestly just lovely to be here. There's a few names that I recognize and lots of names that I don't, which is awesome. So lovely to connect with people that I have not connected with yet. Those of you that don't know me, you're probably going, that's a bit of a funny accent. I was not expecting that. So I'm from New Zealand. It's always a mix up. People like, I don't know, UK, New Zealand, Australia, hard to say, but I'm from New Zealand originally. I don't spend as much time there these days. But as Haley mentioned, my background is that I had my own creative business for 11 years. Every time I say that, I'm like, wow, that was a really long time. What a big journey. But very early on is, yes, I went and studied entrepreneurship myself, and then basically got very involved in education. So I was working with a lot of different programs and universities, doing a lot of teaching work, primarily in New Zealand, right up for master's level as well. It was all part-time contract teaching, and I did that for quite a number of years. And that basically evolved into doing more and more public programs and other programs and mentoring and coaching. And then eventually I went, actually, I want to help more people to grow. And people kept on reaching out to me saying, hey, can you help me with my creative business as well? You know, I'm struggling with the business side. And that's where eventually I started creating programs and coaching and mentoring. And that basically grew from there. And here we are these days. So the brand is Flamboyant Entrepreneur. I have got my fun backdrop on today. It's not real. It's actually a blurred backdrop. So there we go. I don't have a big banner behind me, unfortunately, but that is the brand that we run with our awesome team. Primarily, our clients are actually based throughout the US, but we do also have clients in Canada and parts of Europe as well. And our clients we work with, like Molly and Haley, are visual creatives, right? So a lot of people are illustrators, graphic designers, we've got muralists, you know, we've got people that fall outside those core areas as well. But really, it's about helping people to grow their business, to turn it into a long-term sustainable income, doing what they love and all those beautiful things. So we do work with people who are really right at the start, just trying to get things started. Maybe they're trying to leave their day job. We also work with people who are a bit further along than that. They've been doing this for longer. And then we also work with people who are more advanced and they're like, hey, I've been doing this for years and years, but they want more sustainability and often more revenue, but also balance and those good things as well. So we're going to be talking about a ton of things on this webinar. So I'm super excited about diving into that. As was mentioned, we do have a survey that you can fill in to be in the chance to get a freebie coaching call with myself. I'm going to pop that link in the chat right now. Those people watching the recording will make sure there's a link there included with the recording as well. Honestly, just filling in the form itself, people often mention they just get a ton of value from just doing that, because it really helps you to dig into where you're at and the things that are in your way, your dreams, your goals, those sorts of things as well. And then we'll pick 3 people to get on some 30-minute calls with me. And then also we've got Paul here from the team. Hey, Paul, hopefully you're well. Paul here from the team as well. Some of you have already met Paul, which is great. Paul will be getting on some extra calls. So we're not just giving away those 3 freebie calls with me. We'll be giving away a bunch of extra calls with Paul, who's our creative business specialist on our Flammable team as well. So lots of good things there, and we'd love to connect with as many of you as possible, whether you're watching the recording or here with us live at the moment. All right, let's jump into it. We've got some good stuff planned. So the topic is around passion to paycheck. Passion to paycheck, right? So the idea is like taking this beautiful thing, this beautiful passion, this creativity, these things that you really enjoy doing, and actually turning them into a career, a paycheck, right? Being able to pay to do the work that you love. Now, I think that is the ultimate definition of success, right? Being able to take something that you're passionate about, that you do creatively, and actually being able to turn it into a feasible long-term revenue stream, right? Rather than having to work for someone else, you can actually build a business. It's a beautiful thing. So that's what we thought. We had a bit of discussion, thought this would be a great topic to dive into as well. And both Molly and Haley are going to be sharing their experiences from the journey around these things as well. So first thing we're going to dive straight into is around leaving your comfort zone. Ooh, gives me shivers when I think about this. So leaving your comfort zone, this is such an essential part of going from that stage of having something which is a creative skill to actually bringing in revenue and turning it into a business, is you're going to be leaving your comfort zone. Now, I often think about the comfort zone as like a bit of a circle where, you know, we operate inside that circle. That is our comfort zone. And it's very easy to do that, right? It's very easy to not start a business, to not try and get clients, to not try and grow these things, right? We're acting in our comfort zone. It's safe, it's easy, it's cozy, it's comfortable. However, what we do know is that the opportunities lie outside that, right? So you do have to get out of your comfort zone and often do new things that you haven't done before, like learning about the business side, like doing the marketing side, like putting yourself out there, right? These are scary things that you're going to have to do. So comfort zone, leaving the comfort zone is certainly part of not just starting a business, but also growing a business. And I will say I've been running businesses actually since I was 18, so a very, very long time. And yeah, that's part of what I've realized over the years is that it never ends, right? There's always a new boundary, a comfort boundary to get out, right? Even if you've been running a business for 10 years or more than that, then, well, yes, you're still going to have to get outside of your comfort zone every single day. So this is going to be part of it. And some things I'll mention around why, well, what you can do that's important as you do this is self-care becomes even more important, right? If you're going to get outside of that comfort zone, then things like self-care and looking after you become more important, because if you're not looking after yourself, when you get outside the comfort zone, you are going to have a bit of a freak out. It's going to be really scary. It's going to be too hard and you're going to jump straight back. Whereas actually you've got to build up things like resilience and confidence and really be looking after yourself to take these next steps in that journey. Mindset is a big part of it. Whether people, we talk to people sometimes, they're like, yeah, my mindset's good. And we're like, oh, yeah. Okay, we'll see. And look, it's a big part of the journey for everyone. Mindset work never ends, right? It's something that never ends. You don't just like unlock abundance mindset and unlimited confidence and like you're away. It's like, no, there's levels. And you go, wow, I thought I was confident in this and I am, but then there's this new thing, there's a new client, there's a new opportunity. My confidence takes a bit of a hit. I've got to work on that as well. So, this is something that I know both Haley and Molly have done throughout the last few months of working with us as well, is leave that comfort zone, but they've really seen, the personal and professional growth as well. So, Haley, we'd love to hear your thoughts and some experiences around this as well.
Yeah, sure. So, Logan, before I started working with you, I was already super excited to be an illustrator, and I loved what I did. I was so happy I had found my passion, but I had this big problem actually with procrastination. And so I thought it was for two reasons. I thought it was because I didn't have enough knowledge and that I had maybe some poor organizational skills. But definitely through talking about that mindset aspect of the program you were just discussing, I realized that actually there was a third thing that was much more true, which was I was having a lot of fear, and that was hurting my confidence. And so the imperfect action element that you talk about sometimes, where you just take that action and you use self-care, you use encouragement, support to push through that fear, helped me to just start taking those consistent actions, even if they weren't perfect. And so like one example of that is I wanted to start making animations, and that's because I thought it would be really appealing to clients and help me differentiate myself. And I don't know what I was waiting for to do it. I was waiting for the perfect sign, the perfect time. And through the structure of working with you, I feel like I just really got to just doing it. And now I'm doing it all the time, and it's working well, and I can add it to my list of offerings. And then the second, even bigger thing probably is that I realized in order to lean in and do all these actions, I actually had to start identifying and kind of, it's like Pride Month now, like come out as a business owner. And that can be scary, announcing that to your family, to your friends, like I'm really putting myself out there. I'm going to advertise my skills and I'm going to put a value to that. And so it really took kind of getting rid of that fear of judgment, and also realizing that it's okay to do that for yourself. It's okay to work for something like that. And so the value of the support with coaching is really just getting to push through that resistance and reconcile that conflict a bit.
I love it. And I think, part of this here is like just really seeing these experiences. Because I can talk about the stuff like, getting outside of the comfort zone, but for everyone here to be able to actually see Haley talking about this stuff, and Molly will be sharing some things soon too, it's so powerful, because these are the real things that are happening out there. And like fear is a very normal, natural human thing that we all experience in different ways, right? However, there's things that you can do to work through that fear, and also understanding that it's probably going to be part of the journey, right? And we sometimes talk about this where, sometimes clients feel the fear and they go, I must be doing something wrong. And we're like, no, you're doing everything right. Fear is a normal, natural thing, but you're pushing your own boundaries. You're operating outside of the comfort zone, even though there might be some feelings coming in of, I'm doing it all wrong. I must be doing something wrong. It's like, no, you just need to actually keep moving forward as well. Next thing we're going to talk about is creating a business versus a hobby. So the difference between a hobby and a business. Now, first of all, having a visual creative hobby is a beautiful thing. Let's not get this wrong, right? It's an amazing thing to be passionate about drawing and designing and creating and art. Like, these are things that the world needs. But we've also got to recognize that there is a difference between something being a hobby and something being a business, right? And I will say business because some people say, oh, I'm not really a business owner. I'm like, do you make money? They're like, yes. I'm like, you're a business owner, right? It doesn't matter how it's defined. That is the ultimate truth. So we are really talking about these two different things. So first of all, just be clear, there's nothing wrong with doing these sorts of things, creative things, drawing, artistic work, being a hobby. Right, amazing, that's great. But if you do decide, hey, I want this to be a business, then there will be some things that change within that as well. So one of the big things is a mindset shift of taking it from the thing that you do in your spare time. It's usually a lot more inward, is probably the right way to describe it, where you're able to create whatever you want. You create based on what you're thinking and feeling and those beautiful things. That can be more of the hobby. Whereas when you start going, I want to turn this into more of a business, you've got to start going, yes, I want to express my creative skills and abilities, but I also need to start thinking about who will pay for these things. Where is the value? Why do other people care about them as well? And finding the connection between those areas as well. So, part of it is taking it more seriously. And sometimes we do say treating it a little bit more like a job. Right. And when I say a job, don't worry, it's not the same as having a job, but it does mean that you're probably going to have elements where you need to be professional. You're going to be working with clients. You need to be aware of sometimes even what you're wearing to meetings, right? Or you need to think about your work hours, right? It's like we escape day jobs maybe to avoid specific work hours, but no, like as a business owner, you also need to think about, hey, when am I going to work? What is this going to look like to create those boundaries for yourself personally too? So these are just some really important things to think about. Understanding, like, if you are going to grow and run a business based off your amazing creative passion, well, the business stuff is going to be part of that journey, right? And when I say business stuff, I'm talking about the marketing, the finance, the project management, the organization, the admin stuff, right? And we need to recognize that, hey, like, if you do want to earn money, then you are going to have to get better at those things, right? Because if you just say, oh, no, I'm just going to focus on the creative work and putting that out there and everything should work, well, there's a lot more to running a business and earning revenue, earning money from this creative work than that, right? You do also need to think about the other elements. Not all of them are super exciting or fun, but you can certainly grow and get better at all of these different elements as well. So it's really important to just notice, particularly if you've made or you are making or thinking of making that shift from hobby to earning income, there's going to be some mindset shifts that need to happen along the way. And you will get stuck in sometimes a bit more of a hobbyist mindset at times when you're trying to run the business and you're stuck in a mindset that you used to have, and then you go, wait a minute, I need to think about this different. I do need to create this as a more of a professional brand, for example. So there's a lot in this stuff here, but I think part of it is just really noticing there are differences between those things. There's a lot of connections as well, but there's plenty of differences, particularly around starting to take it more seriously. Now, I'm not saying that you have to spend all hours of all day and night doing this, right? Yeah, it's all about setting boundaries. And we've got people that are part-time in their businesses. We've got people that have other things that they do, whether it's other jobs. We've got people with young children. We've got people that care for family. We've got people with lots of different ages as well. So everyone's got different priorities, but there's still a key difference around that hobby versus the business. Molly, would love to hear some of your thoughts and experiences around this one.
Yeah, this one definitely hits home for me. Before working with Logan, I never thought of myself as a business. I more so thought of myself as an artist that happened to sell things every now and then. So I had no plans to actively grow my business, and my mindset on that has completely changed. I feel like I have such a strong foundation now that I can build upon. And he really helped me to figure out how to create SMART goals and then break those goals down into smaller actions so I could actually start moving forward instead of feeling so stuck. And I think what he hit on before too is, as creative people, we don't like to think about the business side of things. It's not as fun or glamorous, and we want to spend our time focused on creating and doing what we love. So it's so easy to procrastinate and put that off to the side and, think about doing it later. But, signing up for something like this, it really gives you permission to focus on that and put the time aside that you need to do it. And then it's going to make all of the decisions that you have to make going forward so much easier.
I love it. I think it's just so powerful, and I love what you said there around like putting the time and the energy in and the focus. And like we work with busy people. I like every single person we work with is like, time, I'm busy, I've got a lot on, and it's really often about priorities and where they focus that, whether they do have family commitments or work day job commitments, and going, hey, like, let's use the time, even if that's just a few hours per week, to move the business forward, right? These key things. I love what you've shared there. What we are going to do is for everyone who is here on the call live to share their Instagram. Celeste, who's here from my team as well, is going to share a flammable one too. And some of you might have already had conversations with Celeste on Instagram, as well as through email too. But yeah, Celeste will pop ours in. But for everyone here, Molly and Haley will also pop theirs in. Post it in the chat, right? Your Instagram link in the chat. And if you can do it like we've done there as a URL rather than like the @tag, because it means everyone can go through and click and follow you. This is a great way to get connected with us. We want to connect with more of you here, but also anyone else you can get connected, and yeah, connect with some awesome other people that are also on this growth journey as well. So yeah, got a few people popping things into the chat, which is great. Everyone's going digging out, trying to find their Instagrams, which is nice as well. I love it. Okay, cool. The next thing we're going to talk about is basically around social media and the number of followers you have, right? And look, social media has its ups and its downs and its frustrations, and that algorithm, right? It can be a bit of a nightmare. One of the things that we sometimes see people getting really tangled in is that they have to have followers, like build a big following on their Instagram, have thousands, tens of thousands of followers to be successful. Right, so it's kind of says, hey, if I don't have 10,000 followers, 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers, I can't be successful. This is not true, right? Really important to acknowledge that is not true. We work with a lot of people who do not have followings like that, yet they still are and can be successful, right? This is really important to notice. So we also work with clients who do have large followings, right? So about 10% of the people we work with have over 10,000 followers. We've even worked with clients with 100,000, a few 100,000 followers as well. So yes, for them, a big part of their marketing, their business, is social media, and specifically Instagram. However, what I'm really saying is that you do not have to build a massive social media following to be successful. Now, is social media important? Yes, we think it's a really valuable tool. We still think Instagram is a valuable tool as well. It's a great place for visual creatives to be, but you do not have to build that to be successful. We have clients that focus on other ways of marketing. So if you are not super excited about really focusing in on Instagram as a core tool, there's other ways you can market yourself and your business. Now, that could be through things like networking or partnerships or relationship building or referrals, right? There is other things you can do, cold email as well, right? We're going to talk a bit more about that as well during this call. There is lots of things that you can do. I think part of it is also recognizing, though, Instagram's still that great tool. You also can get amazing clientele even if you have a small follow, right? So we have clients all the time that get really amazing work through their Instagram and they only have maybe a few hundred followers, right? We see this all the time because we forget that Instagram is people, right? We kind of get tangled up in this thing of like the numbers and the algorithm and all that. And it's like, hey, if you have 1,000 followers on Instagram, imagine them all like coming around to your house for dinner. They would not fit. I don't think anyone's house here is that big. Everyone would be squished in like this here, right? But we often forget that, oh my God, I only got, 10 likes on this post. It's like, that's 10 individual people, right? One of them could be a client, a potential client. One of them could be spending thousands of dollars with you as well, right? So just recognizing that, you do not have to have that massive social media following to gain clients through Instagram. And also, Instagram's not the only way to build a business as well. So there's some really important pieces to this. But Haley, would love to hear, some of your thoughts around this from your, your ideas and experiences too.
Sure. And I totally agree that compartmentalizing it into what it's really serving as a tool and how it does all these different things and how sometimes it relates to followers and sometimes it doesn't is so important. Yeah, and for me, you know, one of the biggest challenges I had starting my business from my passion, from my hobby, and doing it alone and freelance is I didn't quite understand how things worked at first. And I just started putting my art out there, which Instagram's a great place to do that. And I just thought, okay, yeah, successful illustrators have a ton of followers. So I just need to work on building that. And then, you know, then I'll be successful too. But the program in kind of breaking all of that down definitely helped me understand that it's not really quite like that. And it was in 3 ways, and the third one might be kind of surprising. So one thing is that social media and Instagram is the one I use. It can be a way to find clients, but it's definitely not the only way. And there are all these other channels where you have actually more control. And like one of those channels is literally your existing clients. Like I have an established relationship with my existing clients. So, you know, they come back to me for more work. And so that's a relationship that I nurture totally differently than my Instagram followers. And there are plenty of other creatives who are having successful businesses without even having an Instagram or with having not that many followers. And I met a lot of them through the Lifetime Creative Program. And, you know, Instagram also can be a great community, but a lot of times you find if you're an artist, you're being followed by other artists. And that's really important too, but they're not always your customers. So sometimes your customers or your art buyers or your clients are spending time somewhere else. But the final thing, which is a little bit of a different point, is that I eventually did some number crunching as part of working with Logan and looked at where I was actually getting my clients, because I was getting ready to kind of let Instagram fade to the background and focus on some other channels that I was excited about and were new and shiny. And I realized that actually, even though I don't have a huge following, about 40% of my clients had come from Instagram. So that means it wasn't really about having hundreds of thousands of followers like some of your clients do, Logan. It was more about showing up consistently and having my art maybe shared by other accounts where other people were finding me, or just having someone hear about me and going and checking who I was. And so I had to have a presence there. So now actually Instagram, I still see it as a main channel, but I'm not really so worried about like raking in the followers so much as I am worried about putting work out there that I would like to do more of, because that's what people will see if they see me. And then again, collaborating, maybe getting my art shared on other accounts that have larger followers, just so people still have a chance to follow me.
I love it. So powerful. And once again, being able to like hear these things from people that are doing this stuff, right? People that are working through these different things and have been on these journeys too, I think is just so powerful. And I think, yeah, you know, Instagram, yeah, it's a tool in the end. It's a tool of connection. It's a tool of connecting with people. So, you know, once again, people get very tangled up in the use of the tool and how the tool works, but ultimately it's about connecting with your ideal audience. And there's other beautiful things that it can do, like community. We've talked about that, you know, that power of connecting with other people, being inspired, and all those good things as well. Awesome. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is about solving problems to find success, right? So solve a problem, find success. Now, this is maybe a bit of a, some people don't have the same opinion as me around this, but basically my belief is that you are in business to solve problems, right? You're in business to solve problems and to create value in the world, right? Solve problems in the world, create value in the world. And I'm kind of like, if you're not going to do that, if you're not going to add value to the world, if you're not going to be out there fixing things, solving problems, helping people, then I don't know if you should be in business, right? Some people might disagree. They're like, no, like there's lots of different types of businesses. This is just one of my views, right? And I think running creative businesses is one of the most beautiful ways to help people, to add value to the world, to bring color into the world. There's so many amazing things about that. So we do need to recognize this though, is that yes, like you are a creative person, you have these passions. We've talked about how many of them have come from hobbies and they've evolved. And that's awesome. As I mentioned, often it is more inward. You're just drawing, you're creating, you're putting some things out there, and then you suddenly getting noticed, depending on your journey. And there's a point where we need to flip the thinking around to, okay, that's great, I'm expressing myself and putting these ideas out there, but then we've got to flip it around and go, okay, how can I create value now? And that might be about creating value that it might be about packaging the value you're already creating. But it also is about thinking about who their clients are, who are the people that you're helping, and what is it about your creative skills, or specifically which creative abilities do you have that can bring value, that can add value, right? So this is something that I think a lot of people we work with, they sometimes struggle with that early on, because they have this creative passion, they want to express that, but they've then got to match it with what people need, right? What the world needs. And yes, I use the word, solving a problem. Some people kind of struggle with the idea of like solving a problem, because they're like, no, like, I'm not really solving problems here. It's like, well, you're creating value, you're adding value. You're people who, whether that's, hey, someone who needs a design for a package, well, their struggle is they can't find someone who's going to adequately express their vision for their brand and what they want to see, right? So those are struggles as well, they're frustrations. So, I think this is a really important thing to recognize. Part of it is figuring out where and how you can bring that value to the world, right? And really think about what the client's needs are, right? Because we're all relatively good about thinking what we need. We want to be able to express creatively, and we want to be able to earn money, right? Get paid to do what we love, but also get paid fairly. But also we need to recognize what are the client's needs. And if you can match those things up, you can just have a long-term successful business. Because you're going to be helping people, and in return, you're going to get paid. You're going to get paid really well for what you do, right? So this is something that is, a bit of a mind shift that many people go through. But yes, effectively, to find the success that you want, you are going to have to find the problems or find the areas of value as well. Molly, we'd love to hear some of your thoughts around this stuff as well.
Yeah, I think that I struggled a lot in the beginning with feeling like, well, what is the problem that I'm actually solving? Like, I'm just making these pretty things and putting them out there. But sometimes I think you just need to realize that something that might come easy to you, it doesn't necessarily, it's not like that for other people. So you are adding a ton of value into what they're looking for. It's such a simple concept, but it took me a long time to get there. And I realized just how important it really is to define your target audience and take the time to do that, so that you can figure out who they are and start to think about, what they go through on a daily basis that might be a pain point or a problem that they're having, and see how you might be able to like fit into that picture and help them out with whatever that is. And once you can start solving some of these problems, it can really catapult your business, and it would really set you up for success in the future. So it's something I'm always consistently kind of going back and reassessing.
I think, it's so huge. I remember my previous creative company, like when I made that shift from recognizing like what we were doing, we were providing really unique forms of entertainment to events, right? And we were like, this is awesome, and the audience loved it. But when we really started thinking about, well, what does the client need? What does the client want? What are they actually paying for? It wasn't like, oh, there's this cool entertainment and it makes people smile. Like, yeah, at a kind of a base level, that's what it did. But actually, it was even deeper than that. We were going, okay, what do they need? Well, they need professional entertainment. They need safe entertainment, right? They need someone who's reliable, right? Someone who can communicate, all of these things here. And it's the same with creative businesses as well. It's going beyond the, like, yeah, as you said, Molly, like creating the pretty things, to like, okay, how can I create value around? And sometimes that is create value around the same pretty things, but it's how they're packaged, and it's how they're communicated. And also, as you mentioned, target client, right? Target market. Like, are you communicating the value to the right people? Which is a really nice roll on to the next thing we're going to talk about, which is the importance around knowing your offer and your audience, right? So when we talk about knowing your offer, an offer is a product or a service, right? People we work with, mostly people with services, but we also have people who have products too, right? Some people have a bit of a mix. So part of it is understanding, like, what is the thing that you can offer? Like, how can you package your own creativity, your own creative abilities into something that you can sell to someone? It's kind of as simple as that in the end. Obviously, it's not as simple as that. It's a very complicated thing. But this is something where many creatives, what they do and it's a very normal thing to do, is say, hey, I can do anything for anyone, right? I'm a creative person, right? As long as it's kind of within this visual creative area, like, let me know what you need and want, and I can probably do it, or I can figure out how. Now, yeah, that's overall a really cool mindset to have. However, most people aren't just interested in any old thing. They've got something very specific in mind. Most clients are like, I'm looking for someone to design this thing for this thing. Right? So most people are looking for a specific type of person who can do that thing. They're not going to approach you as someone that does really cool creative stuff and say, hey, you do cool creative stuff. Can you do this? Even if you think the answer would be, yes, of course I can figure that out. Because they're not going to even contact you to say that. So instead, what we've got to do is we've got to get very, very clear about what that offer is. Right? And one of the things I do, I go onto people's websites all the time, websites and social media, and I go, wow, they're doing all these cool, interesting, creative things. What do they sell? And I cannot answer that question. I'm like, this is amazing. Their work is really beautiful. It's incredible. It's valuable. I love it. But what do they sell? Are they a packaging designer? Do they do murals? Do they do branding? Like, what is the thing that they sell? And I'm not actually sure. And if I'm not sure, well, definitely a potential client wouldn't be sure either. So this is part of it, is defining those offers. And this is something we work with people on, right? People who are at very early stage, we help them figure out what to do. People who are further along, we help them to reassess what they're doing and what else they can add to as well. And we're going to dig into that a little bit more on our last point around what we call valuable offers. But, you know, having that offer is so important. You need to be able to communicate and say, I do these things. I do this, I do this, and I do this. And one of the things we often talk about is 3 to 5 offers. Lots of ways to define an offer, but that's a really good number to think about. Then the other side of that coin is who, right? Because this is what you could also do. You could say, well, I am a packaging designer for anyone that wants packaging. Right now, the problem is if you try to market to everyone, you'll end up marketing to no one. Because if we start talking about some of these different methods to market to people, cold email, for example, well, who are you going to email? Right? You're like, well, anyone that needs packaging. And I'm like, well, that could be a lot of people. So it's going to be hard. Where do I find them? It becomes quite overwhelming. Right? So part of it is also starting to define the people who would like to purchase these things, would like to contract you, the people who have the needs and the problems that need to be solved. That's part of it. But then we've got to go a step further, which is that they're also willing to pay you for it. Right? Because you'll find this, right? You'll find, hey, there's people out there that love what you do. They think you're awesome. They know, like, and trust you. They have a need. They're like, I need this thing designed for this thing here. I need this thing created. So there's like tick, 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 tick. However, the final box is, are they willing to pay what you are worth for the thing? And it's easy to get that answer as a no, right? And if you're finding you're getting lots of no's, no, 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 even though there's all these people that are interested in what you do, often it's just because you're talking to the wrong people. A lot of people go, oh, maybe I'm not good at what I do. Maybe I need to go and practice my, build my portfolio out more. I need to practice my art more. It's you're communicating the value to the wrong people. I mean, these people, they see the value, they need the value, but they're not willing to pay for it. Right? So there's some subtle pieces of this puzzle as well around knowing that offer and your audience as well. But if you can define that audience and who would be interested and who is willing to pay, that means you now know who to talk to. Right, who your Instagram posts are for, who your cold email outreach is going to as well. Right, so these are some really important pieces of that. Hayley, would love to hear your thoughts around some of these experiences around the offers and audiences as well.
Yeah, and it's funny. My inputs are a little bit at first like what not to do, because I was really excited. Like, it didn't take very long for maybe friends and family, or a little bit on Instagram, like I mentioned, for people to start reaching out to me for proposals or for projects and for creating visuals for them. And this was great starting out, but it was such a mixed bag, and frankly, just like not always the right fit. And the thing is if you are a visual creative and you have people who need your skills, you can't be relying on them to know what you do, because that's partially why they need your help. So what was happening is I was kind of stretching my abilities every time into like areas maybe where I don't actually work. And I was also having to come up with my proposals and pricing from scratch every time without having my audience or my offerings defined. And on top of that, a certain percentage of the time, and this is okay, clients decide not to work with you. So it ends up being a lot of work and maybe for not the output you're looking for. So that was, what was making things a little exhausting or disappointing. So early on in working with Flammable Entrepreneur, we did a couple of really valuable and challenging exercises to define our audience and also our offerings. And it just turns out you do not have to offer everything to everyone. And in fact, once I started narrowing down the things that I offer and thinking more about types of audiences, like for example, one of mine is companies and organizations that work for a certain social cause. You might think that it would actually narrow down your pool, but in a paradoxical way, it actually expands your options because you're now thinking about that all the time. And so you're noticing where those people are, you're getting to learn about them, and you're noticing opportunities. So it kind of works the opposite of how you'd think, where you actually start seeing more opportunities when you narrow your focus. And then the last thing in terms of all the work it was taking is now that I have my offerings more defined, I have started to build this library of templates, offerings, proposals, where I'm not starting from scratch every time I get an inquiry. And I just started doing that. So I'm sure within the next 6 months to a year, I'll just have a much more streamlined process. So it's definitely helps you find more work and also big time saver.
I love it. So powerful. And once again, just diving into the specifics around this stuff is great. We are going to be jumping into Q&A soon. We were sent a bunch of questions in beforehand, so we're probably going to be starting with them. But if you do have a question you want to ask, pop that in the chat. We'll do our best to answer what we can with the time we have. I've got one more thing I'm going to be talking about, and that is around what we call creating a valuable offer. Right, creating a valuable offer. Now, we define it, and I'm talking about we as in myself and my team at Flammable, we define a valuable offer as something that is $300 plus. And something that you sell for $300 plus. And yes, our clients in Europe, you can use 300 euros or 300 pounds. You could use 300 Canadian dollars. Yes, I know they're all slightly different, but we're really talking around that amount for something that's, yes, that's what we call valuable offer. This is actually really important as a key main focus. Okay, so we're not saying that you can't sell stuff that's under that. We're just saying from what we've seen of working with a lot of clients over many years is that it's important to have a core focus on things that are $300 plus. Now, I've calls with people occasionally where they mention, hey, I'm not doing any of that, not doing any of the $300 plus stuff, right? I'm doing print on demand. Maybe I've got a sticker store. I'm doing things on Etsy, and these are all beautiful, awesome things to do. But one of the big things we say is, look, based on what we're seeing from working with a ton of people, and I talk to a lot of people, it doesn't work to get to those bigger, loftier goals that people have, to leave their day job, to earn sustainable income long term. Right, so you do need to have a focus on these larger things, these valuable offers. And our general recommendation, when I say larger focus, 60, 70% of your energy could be on that. Now, we've got clients that 100% of their energy is on things that are $300 plus. Great. But I would really say at least a minimum of 60, 70% of your energy would be focused on these higher price offerings. Now, there's a lot of different things that people can do. And often what people have when they first hear this from me, they're like, what am I going to do? And then I'm like, go brainstorm it. And then they come back to me and they're like, I've got all these ideas. I'm like, great, you're a creative person. There are so many different things you can do. And now we've got to work in the other direction and go, okay, let's help you to focus on which actually to do, because there is a lot that you can do as well. So, this is a really important thing. And something I've just discovered, myself and my team has discovered over many, many years of doing this stuff and having those conversations and working with people, right? And it's kind of a tough thing for some people, but that is a really important shift to make as well. So, Molly, would love to hear your sort of thoughts and experiences around this side as well.
Yeah. So before I started working with you, I was selling greeting cards for like $4.50 each. And that's before any fees were taken out or anything like that. So if I thought about that, I'd need to sell thousands of them every month in order to make anywhere near what I was hoping to bring in. So that was such a key point for me in this program was, You know, offers that are higher in value means you have to go out and find way less people to purchase that offer every month. So I was really like able to nail it down to a few things that I wanted to offer. You know, before I was very much like what Logan was saying, where it was like, I can do all these things. I am a designer, so just tell me what you want me to design and I'll do it. So just really not giving them all of these options, making it very clear what you have, that, you know, your services are, and how that is going to look. Like, how will this look if you decide to move forward with me? I think making it really clear up front adds some trust there, and it helps your clients sort of like feel okay with moving forward. And then also, it's super important to share these offers that you have. I think I struggled with that. I still do a little bit, where it's just like, can feel awkward putting it out there, but it's so important.
I love it. So, so powerful. Thank you so much, Molly. We are going to jump into Q&A. So if anyone here has a question that's on live, just pop it into the chat. We do have some questions that were sent through beforehand. And just a reminder, once again, those of you that weren't here at the start, we are giving away 3 freebie coaching calls with myself, and then a bunch extra with Paul, who's here from my team as well, which is great. So I'll pop that survey link in the chat again. It'll be on the recording too. Pop that open and you can fill that in afterwards. Yeah, have a good look. We do also share some advice with anyone that fills it in, even if you don't get one of the freebie calls with myself or Paul as well. Now, the first question that we had that I really want to dig into was how to reach out to dream clients, big clients. And the question was around, is cold email a great way to do that? Is cold email a way to do that? And the short answer is yes. Absolutely, cold email. When you know, I think when some people hear cold email, they think, oh, cold email. Like, is that like that spam email that we will get in our inboxes occasionally? Right? It's like, no, it's targeted emails to your potential clients that probably have a need that can be filled. Right. So the first thing there is yes, cold email is still a good way to market yourself and your business. Absolutely. Right. There's lots of ways to market yourself and your business, but cold email is one of them. Cold email is kind of good because it's quite targeted, really specific. You're not kind of putting something on Instagram and hoping that things can come to you. You're being proactive and you're putting your energy out. Now, one thing that this person did say was, you know, how do I reach out to my dream or the big clients? Is cold outreach a strategy? Yes, absolutely. We've just got to understand that cold outreach is a numbers game. When I say cold outreach, I'm talking about you emailing a company that you would love to work with that do not know you. They've never heard of you before. It's cold. That's where that comes from. We talk about warm outreach. Warm outreach is like people that are part of your network, people that you've worked with previously, people that know of you, right? That's a little bit different, but cold is basically people who don't know who you are. So what it means is that it's going to be quite a low reply rate. Okay, so what some people do is they say, hey, I've got this dream client. I'd love to work with this company here. I'd love to have my product with them or to design for them or what it looks like. And so they're like, okay, I'm going to try this cold email thing. And they craft their template, they craft their email, they spend a lot of time, they find the contact, which can be a whole thing in itself. And then they send the email and then they go, right, we now cross our fingers and we wait for the week, the month, the year. Oh, they haven't replied. It is a numbers game, right? It is a numbers game, which means that on average, a 10% reply rate, right? 10%. I know my Kiwi accent's a bit funny. 10 or 11%. So we can clarify what that is really a good reply rate. And I'm not saying a booking rate. I'm saying that have you email 100 people, you might get 10 of them taking their time to reply to you, right? And one of them or more could turn into opportunities, paid opportunities, or it could be none. It is a numbers game, right? So this is what we've really seen is that if you just think, hey, I'm just going to send it to the dream client and I'm going to get a reply back, they're going to say something and work with them. No, unfortunately, I wish it was easy as that. It is not, right? If it was as easy as that, everyone would be in business. So this is where, yes, cold email is a great strategy. Our recommendation around this is that you start testing it out and trying it. Maybe don't email the dream client as the first cold email you send. You could email some other people. However, you could contact whoever you like, but it's a numbers game. So part of it is getting into, okay, how do I create a template? What are the key strategies around this? This is the stuff that we help people with as well. Okay, now let's get a system in place. How do you track that? And let's get you doing it consistently as well. So, you know, this is one of these things that, yeah, it's not super exciting. business to send cold emails? Is it something that works and can get great opportunities? Absolutely, absolutely. We had a client a few months ago that sent their first, I think it was their first 10 cold emails, and they like booked a client off those first 10 cold emails and got paid. I think it was about $5,000 they got paid. And we were kind of saying to them, like, that's amazing. Just so you're aware, it's probably not going to always happen, because they'll probably go, right, send another 10 and it'll be great. Otherwise, they'll be like, oh, this is not working. We're like, no, it's working. You were just, but they put themselves out there, and that's how you get the opportunities in as well. Really, really important. This next question we've got here is actually one directed towards you, Molly. So this is around, what are the key ways that you have found clients, the key ways that you've found clients in your business? Do you want to share with people here what that looks like?
Yeah, so for me so far anyway, mostly on Instagram, which is surprising to me, but I try to keep up with posting things on Instagram and keeping that fresh. I also try to participate in drawing challenges and using hashtags kind of appropriately, experimenting with that. And then also on Behance, I have had a couple of clients reach out to me on there because they found my artwork there. Doing a lot of cold outreach. I'm getting used to that now. And then just putting it out there, putting it out there on your social media that, hey, I am available. I do these things, and I have some time open on my calendar in the next, couple months. I also did walk around some of the stores that I like to shop at and just kind of like looked at who was manufacturing or designing these things, and kind of created a list of people that I could reach out to from that. And that was helpful too.
Amazing. I love it. Okay, we're going to dive into the next question that Karina in the chat. So this is actually a good one. This is technically two questions, so we're going to actually dive into both of them. So any great tips around getting more email address, right? And this is something that if you want to have an email newsletter, yeah, you've got to get people's emails in the first place, right? So we're going to dive into that part of it first. Now, what a lot of people do is that they put their email subscriber form on their website, right? And they kind of just then cross their fingers and hope that lots of people subscribe. Now, of course, you can get subscribers that way. What we tend to see is that you're not going to get many subscribers if you just do that. Instead, what you need to do is you need to create something called a lead magnet, right? It's kind of this geeky marketing term, but it's basically what it says is that you need to give something in return for getting someone's email address. And it could be as simple as, hey, here's this free downloadable app. It could be as simple as that. You're going to get this thing here in return for email address. It just increases the chances significantly that someone who's on your website is going to, oh, okay, I'll do that. I'll put in my email address. And they're going to sign up to your regular or irregular newsletter, right? Email newsletter. And that might be exciting for them as well. There might be different reasons they might sign up, but often having something that they get in return is really important. But it could be something of value. So if you think about your ideal potential client, like what is something that would be downloadable that would be valuable to them? Some people have done things like, yes, discount codes, that's more for the product side, but also it could be cheat sheets or downloadable checklists. It could be, key things to think about when working with a illustrator, right? And a list of key things. And you're like, well, I'm an illustrator as well, but they're also like, oh, wow, this person knows what they're talking about. So that's just one of the things to think about here. And then you can post on your Instagram, hey, I've got this email newsletter I'm running. If you enter here, you get this free downloadable. Right. So, there is lots of different ways you can do that, but it's more important. It's important to go beyond just the, hey, here's where you subscribe to. Hey, what are they going to get out of it as well? The other thing that you can do is any client that you're working with or people that have replied to your cold email, you can ask them if they want to be on your newsletter. Right. So let's say someone's replied to your cold email, and this is a very typical reply that you can get saying, love what you do, would be interested in working with you right now, but I don't have any current projects. Right, that's a reply that many of our clients get. You can actually reply with like, amazing, that's great. Would love to make sure we're connected. Here's my Instagram. And also, would you be interested in signing up to my monthly newsletter or my irregular newsletter? And you could even just say, hey, by the way, if you want to sign up, here's the link. Right, so that's another way that you can do that as well, is being proactive. The second side of the question, I don't know what to write in a monthly email newsletter. Right now, first thing I will say is you do not have to do it monthly. That's a really important thing. You get to decide. If you've never done a newsletter before, I recommend you'd probably just start irregularly, right? You might send one every couple of months, and it might not even be a commitment. You might say, for my occasional newsletter, right? You can do that, right? That's good, because it can sometimes take that pressure off to like, oh, I have to do something every single month. So that's part of it there. Is it doesn't have to be monthly. In terms of what you can push in there, think about what that potential client would be potentially interested in seeing. And part of that is displays of your own work, right? So it could be recent projects that you've done, whether they're passion projects, your own projects, or mock-ups, or actual client work that you've done. So examples of your work. You could be writing about the inspiration behind your work, right? What inspires your work that you're doing? You could be writing about, yes, those recent opportunities that you've had working with clients. There's lots of things you can do, but don't overwhelm yourself with like, oh my God, I have to build a newsletter that's like lots and lots of pages long. Some people do newsletters that are really short. They're like 2 to 3 key points. Here's a cool project I've been working on recently. Here's what I've been up to lately. And here's what inspires me this week, this month. Right. That can be an email newsletter as well. Love it. Awesome. So obviously time flies by, and we've covered a few of the questions, which is lovely. We are going to start to do wrap up. I would love everyone here to add into the chat what some of the takeaways have been, right? So if everyone can put in one takeaway, what's something that they've found useful or interesting? What have they found surprising? What have they found helpful? Is there something here that you're going to action based on what you've seen? If everyone who's here live can just pop some thoughts into the chat, what you've found interesting, what you found helpful. We've obviously jumped around quite a few different topics here as well, but ultimately that key big topic is taking that passion to the paycheck, to creating that business. We've talked about comfort zones. We've talked about that difference between the business and the hobby. Social media followers. I think there's a really interesting conversation there as well. Problems, offers, audiences, and then that valuable offer side as well. So that's something that is incredibly powerful, is to really focus on these things and understand that there is going to have to be shifts in your business to grow, right? To take it from wherever it is now, whether that's, hey, Logan, it's currently a hobby, to, hey, actually, I'm already running a business, but I want to take it to that next stage as well. So a few things being popped into the chat there around mindset on growing confidence and taking imperfect action. Absolutely better than being passive. Karen, this is a huge one. And switching that thinking from passively being like, here, this is my business, I've got my website, I've got my Instagram, I can do things, come to me, please, to like, okay, who are my ideal clients? What am I doing? Contacting them, messaging them, cold email, right? Putting yourself out there, right? These are all these things that get you outside of that comfort zone. I'm not saying it's easy, but these are things you can learn and grow. And taking things seriously is also about learning about that business side as well. Yes, Elizabeth, absolutely. Market yourself using the work you want to continue doing, not necessarily being the jack of all trades, right? That's a huge one. And I think, often most creative can be jack of all trades, right? Creative people can do lots of things. They've got inspiration, they've got ideas, they can figure things out. However, it's that whole, hey, you can't be everything to everyone, right? You've got to be very, very specific as well. Amazing. Look, lovely to be able to connect with everyone here. We're going to wrap things up today. Honestly, Molly and Hayley, it's just been so lovely having you both on board. It's been fun today, hasn't it?
It was.
I love it.
I have some ways too. I'm definitely going to go update my website and make sure my offerings are crystal clear after you made that reminder today.
I love it. So good. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Corinne. Thank you, everyone in the chat and who's here with us live as well. Honestly, awesome doing this. Would love to connect with more of you through the survey and things as well. So we'll be no doubt in the DM chatting to many of you here as well. Take care and have a lovely rest of your afternoon, evening. Might even be some people more. There's some morning here as well. So take care and we'll catch up soon. Ciao.